Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Asphalions joint webinar with PSI, how to best interact with a notified body for a successful MDR application. Before we start, a couple of things to take into consideration. The webinar will last about 60 minutes. In case you have any questions, please submit them in the chat and we will reply them by email. We will also send you the presentation as well as the link to the recording shortly. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Pilar Maldonado, Business Development Manager, Regulatory Services for Medical Devices at PSI. She has over 5 years of experience in the medtech industry and more than 2 years of expertise in regulatory affairs in Spain and Portugal. Coldo Garcia is chemical and industrial engineer, specializing in industrial organization. He has been working in the medtech industry for more than 6 years. In today's webinar, they will explore the processes involved in the qualification and classification of medical devices under the Regulation EU 2017-745 or MDR, as well as provide a detailed overview of the conformity routes available under MDR. So, Coldo and Pilar will take it from here. Coldo, please, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so thank you, Micah. Good afternoon to everyone. Well, this is our agenda for the first part of today's webinar, Introduction, Legal Framework for Medical Devices in the European Union, Medical Device Qualification and Classification, and finally, Conformity Assessment Routes and Notified Bodies. Well, we start with a short introduction of our company and of our unit. Based in Barcelona and with more than 20 years of experience, Asphalion is an international scientific and regulatory affairs consultancy. And as global regulatory partners, we are taking care of the activities during the development of different innovative medicinal products and medical applications. Well, the medtech unit of Asphalion is one of the divisions that compose the company with other departments such as development writing, CNC, pharmacovigilance, lifecycle management, operations, among others. Within our unit, we provide support during pre-market, certification, and post-market activities for medical devices and medical technologies, in vitro diagnostic devices, and combination products. We are a multidisciplinary team composed by engineers, doctors, pharmacists, and biotechnologists, and we offer integral solutions for medical technologies, adapting our services with total flexibility for a tailor-made and strategic approach. Well, among all the services offered in pre-market, certification, and post-market phases, all those shown on the screen can be found. As you can see, there are many different types of services. For example, in the pre-market phase, we assist with feasibility assessments, regulatory roadmaps, and the definition of the standards and requirements, among others. During the certification phase, we can assist you in compiling robust technical documentation and managing non-conformities with notified bodies. In the post-market phase, our services include establishing roles such as the PRRC, that is mandatory for MDR, and maintaining compliance with regulations, helping in vigilance, for instance. Additionally, we provide integrated support for the QMS from initial definition and implementation to tailor training and audits. Well, once you know more about us, we will dive into the specific content of this webinar. So we are going to present the current legal framework in Europe for medical devices. The Medical Device Regulation 2017-745 or MDR is a comprehensive legislative framework that governs the marketing and monitoring of medical devices within the European Union. Adopted on April 5, 2017 and fully applied from May 26, 2021, it replaces the previous medical device directives. MDR aims to enhance patient safety and to ensure high standards of quality and reliability for medical devices in the European market. Some key aspects of the MDR include stricter pre-market control, clinical evidence, transparency, identification and traceability, post-market surveillance, economic operators, among others. The CE marking under MDR is recognized across the European Economic Area, which includes the 27 member states, as well as Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. Additionally, there are agreements with other countries, such as Turkey, and it is important to remark that Switzerland and the United Kingdom have their own legislation. Well, regarding the MDR document itself, MDR is composed by 123 articles divided in 10 chapters. You can access to the MDR document through the official website of the European Commission in the official languages of the European Union to check all these chapters with more details. MDR also includes 17 annexes that are quite important. For example, Annex 1 contains the general safety and performance requirements that all devices must meet. Annex 8 includes all classification rules that are that we will see in more detail later, right? So we continue and saying that all new medical devices have to go through MDR today. For those devices that were previously approved by the directives, they also have to be certified under MDR according to the timeframes given by the European Commission for this transition, considering the transitional provisions for certain medical devices as defined in Regulation 2023/607. Well, in order to these certain medical devices, well, in order to benefit from the transition periods of this mentioned regulation, legacy devices must comply with all these conditions. They continue to comply with the MDD, no significant changes, no unacceptable risk, and we would like to highlight the fact that it is mandatory to already have a signed contract with a notified body for the transition to MDR. Well, we continue with the main topic of this webinar, medical device qualification and classification. Qualification is the process of applying the definition of medical device given by the MDR to a product. And classification means determining, according to MDR rules, the specific class under which the device will be regulated. So, firstly, for the qualification, we must clearly define what a medical device is. This involves understanding the intended use and whether the product meets the regulatory definition, which is essential for compliance. This slide provides a comprehensive definition of what constitutes a medical device according to Article 2 of the MDR. So a medical device can be any instrument, apparatus, appliance, software, implant, reagent, material, or other article intended by the manufacturer for human use to address various medical purposes. These purposes include diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, prediction, treatment, and so on of diseases and injuries, as well as assisting in the modification or replacement of anatomy and physiological processes. Importantly, a medical device does not achieve its primary intended action by pharmacological, immunological, or metabolic means, although this may assist its function. We will go back to this later, right? So, additionally, devices for controlling or supporting conception and those used especially for cleaning or sterilization of other devices are also qualified as medical devices. Understanding this definition is crucial for ensuring compliance and proper regulatory classification. So apart from the intended use, the principal mode of action is also decisive for the qualification of a product as a medical device. Concerning the definition of pharmacological, immunological, and metabolic means, we have the following. Pharmacologic means involve interactions at a molecular level where a substance or metabolite initiates, enhances, reduces, or blocks physiological functions. This involves components such as cells, proteins, and DNA. Immunologic means refer to actions initiated by a substance on the immune system, mediated by cells or molecules like lymphocytes and antibodies affecting immune response. Metabolic means involve substances affecting biochemical processes, altering the rate, extent, or nature of physiological or pathological functions. Understanding these mechanisms helps define the boundaries between medical devices and other type of products, such as pharmaceuticals, for example, and it is crucial for regulatory compliance. Remember, a medical device does not achieve its primary intended action by pharmacological, immunological, or metabolic means, although these may assist its function. In other words, if any, it must be secondary or ancillary, right? Okay, so we continue. As said before, the intended purpose and the mode of action to achieve it are crucial for the qualification of a product as a medical device, because there are many types of different products, such as cosmetics, medicines, biocides, and so on. And there are many cases that are considered borderline because they they are composed by many parts or many things that must comply with different applicable legislations, right? So the intended purpose of the device is the key point to qualify a device. Okay. So secondly, and once we know that our device is a medical device according to the definition given in Article 2 of MDR, the classification rules determine the risk level and regulatory requirements for the device. This classification influences the conformity assessment routes and the level of scrutiny by regulatory bodies. So understanding both the qualification criteria and classification rules is fundamental for ensuring that a medical device can be safely and effectively brought to the market. This knowledge forms the foundation for regulatory strategy and successful product development. So, prior to applying the rules, there are many important definitions specific to classification rules included in Article 2 of MDR and in Chapter 1 of Annex 8. For example, we have duration of use. Classification is influenced by how long a device is intended to be used. Devices are categorized as transient, less than 60 minutes, short term, between 60 minutes and 30 days, and long term, more than 30 days. We also have, for example, invasive devices. An invasive device is any device which penetrates inside the body either through an orifice or the body surface. We also have active devices that rely on an external energy source other than that generated by the human. Important, and this is quite important because if several rules or if within the same rule several sub-rules apply to the same device based on the device's intended purpose, the strictest rule and sub-rule resulting in the higher classification shall apply. So, medical devices can fall into the following risk classes according to MDR rules. We have Class 1 devices, Class 1S sterile devices, Class 1M, Class 1 with measuring function, and Class 1 are reusable surgical instruments. And then Class 2A, Class 2B, and Class 3. And the higher the class, obviously, the more requirements applicable to the product because more risks are associated to them. So, as I told before, Annex 8 includes the classification rules, specifically in Chapter 3, and we are going to explain these rules in details. Okay. So there are 22 rules in Annex 8, and it is necessary to explain in a rational the applicability or not of each rule for your device, one by one. This is a very common nonconformity that we find within our clients, because it is necessary to say yes or no or not and why to each rule, right? So we are not going to into each rule in detail, because we are a bit limited on time. Remember that the guidance document MDCG 2021-24 guidance on classification of medical devices can also assist in the classification process, giving more definitions, examples, and so on. Okay, so rules 1 to 4 are applicable to non-invasive devices. Rule 1 defines devices as class 1 unless rules 2 to 4 apply. So, and then we have rules 2, 3, and 4. For example, rule 4 is for non-invasive devices in contact with injured skin or mucous membrane, right? So we continue with the next group, and we have invasive devices. Rules 5 to 8 are applicable for this kind of devices, and we have first, rule 5 is for invasive devices with respect to body orifices other than surgical invasive devices. Rule 6 is for surgical invasive devices used transiently. Remember the definition given before for duration of use. Transient means less than 60 minutes. Okay, then we have also these two rules applicable to invasive devices. Rule 7 is for short-term surgical invasive devices. This is devices whose duration of use is between 60 minutes and 30 days. And Rule 8 is applicable to implantable and long-term surgical invasive devices. Okay, we go further with the next group, and we have rules 9 to 13 are applicable to active devices. For example, Rule 9 applies to active therapeutic devices. Rule 10 is for devices for diagnosis and monitoring. And then we have Rule 11, that it's for software. If your device is intended to administer and or remove medicinal products, then Rule 12 applies to your device, and Rule 13 applies to the rest of active devices. Okay, after these 13 rules, we have the called special rules. Special rules are from Rule 14 to Rule 22. Rule 14 is for devices using animal or human tissues. These are always class 3 devices. Rule 15 applies to devices for contraception or prevention of sexual transmission diseases. If your device is for disinfecting or sterilizing medical devices, the Rule 16 is applicable to your product. Rule 17 is for devices intended for recording diagnosis images generated by X-ray radiation. In this case, all these devices are class 2A devices. Rule 18 is for devices using tissues or cells of human or animal origin. Again, these are always class 3 devices. Okay, we continue. If your device incorporates nanomaterials, then Rule 19 applies to it. Rule 20 is for invasive devices with respect to body orifices other than surgical invasive devices, which are intended to administer medicinal products by inhalation. Rule 21 is for devices that are composed of substances intended to be introduced into the body via a body orifice or applied to the skin, that are absorbed or locally dispersed in the body. Rule 22 applies to devices such as closed-loop systems or external defibrillators that are always class 3 medical devices. Okay, so remember that MDR includes requirements for other types of medical devices. For example, we have custom-made devices. Custom-made devices are one type of personalized medical devices. We are not going to explain the difference between all types in personalized medical devices, but custom-made devices are one type of personalized medical devices that are made based on a written prescription, considering specific design characteristics and tailored to meet the unique needs of individual patients. So this process ensures that this device aligns perfectly with the specific design characteristics required for optimal patient care. So if you want to know more about this type of products, or if you need a specific assistance in the classification of your device, please do not hesitate to contact us. And remember also the guidance MDCG 2021-24 that it's for the classification of medical devices. So to finish this first section, we will talk about conformity assessment routes and notified bodies. Okay, so once we know that our product is a medical device, all applicable rules to it, and its final classification, we must focus on the available conformity assessment routes included in MDR for each device class. The routes are the following: Annex 9, Annex 10, and Annex 11. Okay, so Annex 9 is the procedure whereby a notified body ascertains and certifies that a device conforms the regulatory requirements by assessing the QMS of the manufacturer and the technical documentation. Annex 10 is the procedure whereby a notified body certifies that a device, including its technical documentation and relevant life cycle processes and a corresponding representative sample of the device production, fulfills the relevant provisions of the regulation. Annex 11 ensures that devices conform to the type for which an EU type examination certificate has been issued in Annex 10 and that they meet the provisions of the regulation which apply to them. Okay, are all routes applicable to all classes of devices? The answer is no, and we can find it in this chart. Let's look at the above chart divided by classes, bearing in mind that depending on the nature of the device, these paths could vary or include more steps. So we have class 1 devices, except sterile devices with a measuring function and reusable surgical instruments. These devices are self-certified by the manufacturer. For higher classes, these are the available conformity assessment routes, being a notified body involved in the process. So all classes must have a declaration of conformity according to Annex 4 and must bear a CE marking according to Annex 5, right? Okay, then we go with Class 2A devices, and there's the option to go through the technical documentation and the QMS according to Annex 9 and then Annex 11 Part A or Part B, because in Annex 10 and Annex 11 are specifically for devices classified as Class 2B and Class 3, but there are in Annex 11 some specific exceptions for Class 2A devices. So going to Class 2B devices, we have the following. We can go through Annex 9 within the QMS and the technical documentation, and it is also the possibility of going through the Annex 11. A notified body verifies and certifies that a product and its technical documentation, a representative sample, and its processes comply with applicable provisions. In this case, the notified body shall carry out or request to carry out appropriate tests for the verification of compliance with the requirements, together with a review of the technical documentation. And then Annex 11, whose objective is to verify that the product conforms to the type for which the certificate was issued by the notified body following Annex 10. It presents as part A, the so-called production quality assurance, which is applied by the manufacturer to ensure the maintenance of quality within its QMS, or part B, called product verification. And here there are physical and laboratory tests to verify the conformity of the devices with the type described in the EU type examination certificate according to Annex 10. So for class 3 devices, it is very similar as for class 2B devices, considering specific procedures, such as, for example, devices manufactured utilizing or incorporating tissues or cells of human or animal origin, devices incorporating a medicinal substance, devices that are composed of substances that are absorbed by or locally dispersed in the human body. So take into consideration that for this kind of class 3 devices, there are specific procedures that must be followed and complied with. Okay. So this final slide outlines the regulatory pathway for custom-made medical devices, distinguishing between general and class 3 implantable devices. For class 3 implantable devices that are custom-made, a notified body must be involved in the process of conformity using a certificate, but in this case, it is necessary to CE-mark the devices according to Annex 5 of MDR, as we mentioned, for normal devices for class 1 to class 3. Okay, so according to our experience, the most used conformity assessment route is Annex 9. This is a notified body certifies that a device, except class 1 devices that are self-certified by the manufacturer, conforms the regulatory requirements by assessing under the standard ISO 13485 the QMS of the manufacturer and the technical documentation according to Annexes 2 and 3 of MDR. So once the conformity assessment route is selected for our device, and if a notified body is involved in the process, remember, always except class 1 devices, right? We need to select a notified body. To do so, it is necessary to access NANDO list with all the available notified bodies for MDR. Not all notified bodies are able to assess and give conformity for all types of devices. For this reason, there are MDR codes, which are codes associated with medical devices. The notified bodies are designated by the European Commission to give conformity to a specific MDR code. So it is necessary to search the NANDO list for the codes applicable to your device. Among those, then select your notified body between those that can certify your product, right? So among those 50 notified bodies that are active as of today for compliance according to MDR, we can find BSI. And it is now when we finish this first section, and we have the pleasure to introduce you Pilar Maldonado, who is going to present important information about notified bodies in general and about BSI in particular, pointing out the MDR process and the timelines through this notified body. So, Pilar, whenever you want, please.
Thank you very much. So my name is Pilar. As Coldo said, I work for BSI in regulatory services. I'm in charge for Spain and Portugal. So when you start to contact a notified body, it means you have already, you know your classification. So you know that your device is a medical device. You know that you know the classification and you know the rule. So it is important to have all this ready before contacting a notified body. So how we gonna just introduce, because as I said, I have limited time, just to explain briefly what is a notified body, what we do in BSI, and how is the process once you contact me in order to issue a proposal, and also to give you an overview of the process, the timeline. So, as I said, when you contact BSI, it means you know already that your device is a medical device, you know the classification, you know the rule, because as a notified body, we cannot provide any consultancy services. That is the reason that you contact a consultant like Asphalion. So we cannot provide for just the reason is not because we don't want it, just for conflict of interest. We cannot. Of course, we will guide you. We will guide you, but we won't be able to tell you this is not class 2A, but it's a class 3. We won't be able to say that. So, what is a notified body? A notified body is an organization designated by the EU country to assess the conformity of certain products before being placed on the market. So, in other words, we make sure that your device is conform in accordance with the regulation. So, it can be placed in the market and is safe. So we commit ourselves, like, do you place your device in the market and is totally safe for the patient. And so what we choose BSI. So BSI, as you all know, is a notified body, and we have a global market access. So first, not only global market access, but we have presence everywhere in the world. And it means you contact us, for example, in Europe, we can certify as well your device for UK market and also for the other market, so worldwide. So as I said, we are committed to patient safety. So this is really important for us. We are very strict in terms of assessment, because we want to make sure that your device is totally assessed under the regulation. So also we have throughout and responses service. So we understand each company. So we have a lot of startup contacted us. So we understand as well this as a startup that they have urgency to place the device on the market. So that is why I will just explain briefly later that we offer two types of service in terms of cost as well. So we have a VIP service and a standard. So that means you can, if you need to put a device on the market very, very soon, we have an alternative for you to offer. So this is also, so we make sure that we are attentive of client needs. As I said, we are strict in our assessment, because we make sure that we have a great review and is totally assessed under the regulation. So we won't miss anything. So, and especially now with many devices with AI. And of course, BSI is global. We have a big team, we have resources, and we have, above all, the expertise for each stream of device. So whatever is your device, we will have an expert that can assess your device. So this is really important. So BSI, why BSI as well is so global at all aspects? Because first, we are the only notified body that have full scope. It means there is no one device that we cannot certify. So there is from the bottom of the we certify all device, and it can be IVD or MD. device. We have full scope. We also have a certified body for different scheme, included like ISO 13485 for medical device and other ISO like 14001 and 20001, 42001. This is a new for the AI quality management system, and the ISO 60601. Also very important, that is especially for the PRC and the quality manager, we offer training. So we have global training provider, all type of training related to MDR, to related to 13485. Now with AI, with cyber security testing, we offer all type of training, because it's important to understand what we're going to audit. So this is only an added value as a person. So as well, we are, as I said, global access to all markets. So we offer as well UKCA. As you may know, BSI, it is a UK notified body, but since the Brexit, we needed to split, and now our notified body is based in the Netherlands because it has to be assigned by a EU country. So it's based in Netherlands, Amsterdam. So you will be certified under the notified body 2797, located in Netherlands. Now you want to access the UK market? We offer UKCA. So this is also an application that we can process for you. We offer as well NDSAP. You want to access other markets worldwide, like Canada, Brazil, United States, Australia, Japan. We offer with one single audit, medical device single audit process. We can have one audit to cover all jurisdiction. This is really important. So this is to present how is BSI. So as well, as I said, we don't, there is no one medical device that we do not certify. So we cover all devices, from orthopedic to active, general devices, active, dental, all type of devices. Knowing that, for example, now in active that we cover, of course, all the software, and now with software with AI. We have a department, for example, AI, dedicated only for AI review. More than 55 employees just dedicated for AI. So this is also very important that to know that BSI will be the first notified body with certified AI, with a certification. So also very important to know. So how we start? So you want to get a proposal because you want to certify a device. So the first step, of course, it is to contact me. And what I will do is to give you access to one internal portal. It is a portal where you will need to input all the data related to your device. So for this, I will need just the basic information about your name of the company, how many employees, the main contact, and for what you want to apply for, only for the ISO 13485, or would you like as well the MDR, knowing that we can, of course, combine the certification ISO 13485. Just to tell you that the ISO 13485, it is not mandatory, but it is part of the QMS for the MDR under the regulation. So it is always recommended to apply as well to have the certificate itself. So once I have collected the basic data, I give you a link to access to our portal. And you will see our portal is quite intuitive. It goes with modules, different modules, where you have to tell us what type of service would you like, the company information, the type of device what is the name of the device, the classification, the route, and the intended use. This is the only information we need from your device. We will not require the technical documentation for the proposal. This will be uploaded later once you will sign the proposal and once you have agreed already for, you will have a technical person that will contact you. And this is when you will need to submit your documentation. But to prepare a proposal, it is without commitment. So you don't have to pay anything, you don't commit to anything, and you don't have to upload any information unless you have already, for example, the certificate 13485, which reduce the stage of the ISO 13485. I will explain later. So basically, this is the information I need to collect in order for me to prepare the proposal. So at the end, once submitted, we will have a summary that you have selected this service, the MDR. You have one site because you can have 2 or 3 sites in the same country on other country as well, and you want the certificate for one device. So I received this information, and once I receive this, I will be able to propose, to prepare a proposal. So you have, as I said, you have option to apply for ISO 13485 for the first step, or you can also apply both in parallel. So on the same application, we will proceed with the certification of ISO 13485 plus MDR. Of course, if you have a plan to apply for MDR, my recommendation is to go for both in the same time. But of course, if the MDR application will be in 2 years, I will say, no, go first for the 13485, and then we will go for the MDR application. So the ISO 13485, it is important to understand that we will require a scope. A scope is divided in 3 parts, and but do not worry, I will always assist every one of you whenever you start with the application. So this is, if you require the certificate ISO, we will ask for you for the scope, which is the activity. What are you doing, for example, design, manufacture, distribution of, you said what type of device? You said, for example, as a software, as medical device, and for what? Just one word, for rehabilitation, for example. That's it. This is the only thing that we need for the scope. So just to be precise, not too wide. So how it works for the ISO 13485, so it divided in 2 stages, stage 1 and stage 2. So the stage 1 is always 1.5 days. 1.5 days, we review the completeness of your QMS implementation. So to make sure that it meets the requirement of the ISO 13485. So basically, the stage 1 is to make sure that you have the ISO 13485 implemented and that you are ready for the assessment. So you are ready for the stage 2. So that's why it's only 1 and 2, 1.5 days. So on the stage 2, we will review the implementation of the quality management system and to check that it meets the ISO 13485 requirement. Practice through processes and activities sampling. So this is the stage 1. Stage 2, this is part of the ISO 13485, and you will receive, of course, a report to identify any non-conformity and a recommendation for the certification. So once this has been passed, then completed, we have a recommendation. And this is the final BSI final review. is conducted, and then this is when we will issue a certificate. The certificate 1345 is valid for 3 years, but during the year 1, year 2, we will get a surveillance for this certificate, and the year 3, this is when we will re-audit, and we will do the renewal. So that's why the 3rd year is considered as a recertification year. So you have the first year you have the audit, the 2nd year you have surveillance, you have the first year, yes, surveillance, year 2 surveillance, and year 3 recertification, and then you start again the cycle. Because if you do in parallel with the MDR is valid for 5 years. So this is when you will get, we will assess the technical documentation. This is in case you apply for the MDR. So just briefly because I know that I'm running out of time, just in the summary will be, my message will be, if you have a great documentation, a quality documentation, it will save you not only time, but cost. So because our audit time are based on the quality of the technical documentation. What can make a good quality of your documentation? For example, to go with a consultant. This is that will secure you, that you go with a good in a good hands, and that will avoid you to have non-conformities. Because if you think that you save time, but at the end it will cost you more time and money. So that's why we don't have any agreement with any consultant for conflict of interest, but for experience, we can say that the manufacturer who has applied with the help of a consultant, they get less non-conformities. This is just an information I give you. So of course we will guide you for all the process for the documentation, the technical documentation submission, but clearly there is a way to submit the documentation. So we once I have issued a proposal, I will send it to you. You agree with this contract, you sign the contract, and this is important. On the contract itself, you will have an indication of what documentation needs to be submitted when you sign the contract. But do not worry, because this information are always provided before you sign the contract. So you know what will be needed when you sign the contract. It is important to understand that if we don't have this documentation, we cannot start the process. So it is part of the proposal when you signed it. Also, we understand that some documents may not be finalized, so it can be just in draft. We accept them as well, because once you will contact the technical team, then it is a time when you will submit the final documentation. So basically, how we said, once you sign the proposal, we send internally to the technical team, and this is when we review the contract. We will need like 2 weeks to set up the contract in our system, and this is when you will be assigned a scheme manager, so a person that he will follow you during the whole process. And this is where you will have a round of questions. We will have 3 rounds of questions that allows you to reply within 3 weeks or 30 days, working days, allows you to respond to those questions, to go back to BSI and continuously for 3 rounds of questions until we make sure that there is non-conformities and everything is correct to move forward. As I said, will not start unless all the studies are completed. You will get the round of question, and also very important that we provide many webinars for free. You have webinar for free in our web page. So we support you for the whole process, before having a proposal, during the process, and even after if needed. So we can provide, I can always send you the link where to find the information to make sure that you understand all the requirements. So this is important to know, because once I send the proposal, I have always questions. So how long it takes? How long it takes to get the certificate when I sign? So this is very important to understand. Now in BSI, we have no restriction. As I said, we accept all type of application right now. So if you submit, you want a proposal now, I can prepare a proposal and you can sign it and we can move forward right now. So what happened, for example, this is for the QMS audit. We are talking about the ISO 13485. Just to make it clearer, I took a concrete example. For example, you have the proposal, and let's say you signed in January 2025. You have signed the contract in 2025 in January, and your question will be, how long? When I will get my 13485 certificate? That is, I gave you the clear example. So it takes 2 weeks for us internally to set up everything in our system. After, we will need, currently, we have 3 months lead time. This is 3 months is the time we need to start the assessment. So we cannot start before 3 months. It means if you sign in January, we won't be able to start in January or February or March. We will need to wait those 3 months lead, then we will start. And so basically, I have explained here 3 months, you have it here, 2 weeks for the contract review, 3 months lead time that we need to wait. And then from the stage 1 and stage 2, it takes approximately 3 months to complete the stage 2 and stage 1 and stage 2. So in total, we are talking about 6 months. 6 months, if we take the summary, 6 months, and then we have to prepare between 2 and 4 weeks for the recommendation and preparation and submission. And then we have a final 6-8-week panel for final review and approval. This is mandatory, and this is a panel review we will find as well on the MDR application. So in a summary, if you sign in January, you can say that by, let's say, August, September, between 8 months, 9, you will get your ISO 13485, because you have those lead time. Knowing that every month we are reducing those lead time. And you can see, for example, for MDR, I haven't done a specific scenario for MDR because there are many options. But for example, if we stay, for example, software as medical device, currently we have 2 months. It means once you sign the proposal, we need to wait 2 months before we can start the assessment, the audit. So for each stream, you have a different lead time. But basically, you can see that is unless for active device, but we need to see what type of active, because the software, you can see that except software is 6 months, but it depends. It's more the complexity if it's a robot, or it depends. But then you may see that more or less is between 1 or 3 months, and unless it is for in vitro, more than 6 months, or active, it depends of what type of active. We have different type, of course. So This is the final, almost the final, just to let you know that, as I said at the beginning, we understand the needs for each company, and some startup needs the certificate to place the device on the market very, very soon. So that's why we offer this option to the manufacturers to choose between standard and dedicated review. So basically, it's like you go at the airport and you have two lines. You have the VIP line and you have a normal line. So if you go on the VIP line, you will go first on the plane. So it is the same here. You will go first to place the device on the market if you go on dedicated review, knowing that the quality of the review will be the same. Exactly, you have the same assessment. It just, of course, the price will vary because we offer a dedicated service. It means you have a person dedicated only for you, and you have priority above the other one, the other standard file. So it means if you sign the dedicated, the day of the signature, we can already put the date on the calendar, and you will have an overview of all the audit day, so you can have an estimation of when your certificate will be issued. If you go on standard, we need to wait until it goes on the pile. So the first come, first serve. Basically, this is a summary of the standard and dedicated. But of course, once we have an application, a proposal on hand, I will give you more accurate time, because then I can contact our planner, our personal planner, who can tell me exactly if you sign that date. If you go on standard, you may have the certificate that date, or on dedicated as well. So I will be able to give you more detail once we have a proposal. And very important as well, information for transfer to BSI, because it happened lately that many manufacturers who are currently under certification with other notified body, they are not satisfied for many reasons. But most of the time, it's because the notified body has no resources, no capacity. So what happened? It has a big impact on the time when you will get your certificate. So lately, I had many manufacturers who has contacted me to transfer everything to BSI. So in this, we can do this because, of course, we have the capacity, and we are stable in terms of resources. We can accept and transfer all certificate. But of course, there is a condition. You may have the certificate on hand and all the audit report in order to transfer those certificates. But this is also a scenario that we can talk and have a meeting one-to-one to go more in details and to explain more in a particular situation. So that was my information regarding BSI, how to interact with me. I'm your contact for Spain, for Portugal. You can take my number. I can be reached by email, by phone, by WhatsApp, and I will be always here to assist you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pilar. Thank you for the excellent presentation. And thank you, everyone that came, all the attendees. We hope you enjoyed the webinar. We'll send you the presentation shortly. Remember that you can send your question anytime at info@asphalion.com. Have a nice afternoon. Bye.